Ladies and gentlemen, hear me well. When God sets his eyes on a person, he does not do so casually. When he calls you, it is not just to exist, it is to impact, to build and to transform the world around you. And if you are experiencing these 7 signs, my friend, it is because you have been chosen for something greater than you ever imagined. The first sign is unusual trials and challenges. Life has a way of pressing hardest on those who are meant to rise the highest. If you find yourself constantly facing trials, obstacles, and challenges that seem relentless, it is not a sign that you are forsaken. It is evidence that you are being prepared for something greater than you can see. Those whom God calls, he first refines. He does not elevate the untested, and he does not trust greatness to the unproven. The struggles you face are not mere coincidences. They are divine training grounds, shaping you for the assignment ahead. Think of the great figures throughout history, both in scripture and in life, who were destined for mighty things. None of them had an easy journey. Joseph had a dream of greatness, yet before he could rise, he was betrayed by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and imprisoned. Why? Because the process was necessary for the promise. David was anointed as king while he was still a shepherd boy, yet before he could sit on the throne, he was hunted, persecuted, and forced into hiding. Why? Because the battle was necessary for the breakthrough. Even Jesus himself, the Son of God, was tested in the wilderness before stepping into his public ministry. Why? Because preparation is necessary for the purpose. When the weight of life seems unbearable, it is often because God is stretching you to carry something greater. The challenges you face are not to destroy you, they are to develop you. Strength is not built in comfort. Endurance is not learned in ease. A soldier does not become mighty without training, and a diamond does not shine without pressure. If your journey seems harder than others, you are being equipped even when you do not understand it. The trials you are enduring are the very things that will give you the wisdom, patience, and resilience required for your next season. Many people give up when the fire gets too hot, but those who are chosen learn to stand firm, knowing that God is in control of the process. He does not allow a trial without a purpose. What feels like rejection is often redirection. What seems like loss is often the setup for gain. What appears to be a delay is often divine timing working in ways you cannot yet perceive. The enemy will try to convince you that your struggles mean God has abandoned you, but that is the greatest deception of all. God is with you in the fire, just as he was with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the furnace. He does not remove every battle, but he ensures you emerge from it victorious. So, if your trials have been greater than you ever imagined, if the storms have been fiercer than you expected, and if the journey has felt lonelier than you desired, know this: God does not waste pain. He does not allow suffering without strategy. Every tear you have cried, every battle you have fought, every hardship you have endured has been a necessary step toward the purpose he has placed within you. The second sign is a restless spirit. There comes a moment in life when everything that once satisfied you no longer feels enough. The routines that used to bring comfort now feel empty. The conversations that once entertained you now seem meaningless. The places that once excited you now feel small. This is not frustration. This is divine dissatisfaction. It is a sign that God is calling you to something greater. He is stirring your spirit because you were not created for an ordinary existence. When God chooses a person, he places within them a restlessness that refuses to be ignored. You may have tried to silence it, to settle for what seems normal, to convince yourself that this is just how life is. But deep within, something keeps telling you there is more. This is the way God awakens destiny. He disrupts your comfort so that you will pursue your calling. He unsettles you in your presence so that you will step into your future. Look at the great men and women God has used throughout history. Moses lived as a prince in Egypt, enjoying a life of privilege, but something within him could not rest while his people suffered. That restlessness led him to his true purpose as a deliverer. Nehemiah had a prestigious position in the palace, yet he wept over the broken walls of Jerusalem, unable to ignore the burden for his people. That divine dissatisfaction led him to rebuild what had been destroyed. Even the disciples were called from their ordinary lives of fishing and trade because their purpose required them to leave behind what was familiar. If you find yourself frustrated with where you are, do not mistake it for failure. It is not that you are ungrateful. It is that your spirit recognizes that you were meant for more. Many people try to ignore this feeling, numbing it with distractions, settling into routines that suppress their longing for something greater. But those who are chosen cannot run from destiny. The more they try to blend in, the more their spirit resists. What once seemed acceptable now feels limiting. What once seemed enjoyable now feels insignificant. This restlessness is God's way of shifting you. He is calling you out of comfort, out of complacency, out of environments that no longer align with your purpose. He is waking up the gifts inside of you, the vision He placed within you before you were even born. And the longer you try to ignore it, the more uncomfortable you will become. You were not created to live an average life. You were not designed to merely exist, to work, to survive, and to settle. You were called to impact, to build, to transform. And if you feel that stirring inside of you, the quiet, persistent voice telling you that there is more, then know that it is not your imagination. It is your destiny calling you. It is God whispering, "Get ready. I have greater things for you." The third sign is divine connections and separations. One of the greatest indicators that God has chosen you for something greater is the shifting of relationships in your life. When God is preparing you for destiny, He will send divine connections, people who align with your purpose, who strengthen your faith, who challenge you to grow. At the same time, He will remove those who cannot go where He is taking you. This is not rejection, this is redirect. Many people struggle with the pain of separation. They wonder why certain friendships fall apart, why certain relationships come to an abrupt end, why people they once trusted suddenly become distant. But when God has a plan for your life, He must clear the path. Some people were only meant to be part of your past, not your future. Some relationships served a season but cannot survive the next level of your calling. Consider Abraham. When God called him to a new land, He told him to leave behind his father's house and his familiar surroundings. Why? Because the promise required separation. Even when Abraham took Lot with him, conflict arose and they eventually had to part ways. Why? Because where God was taking Abraham, Lot could not follow. Some relationships will only weigh you down. Some connections will only hold you back. And if you try to force people to stay when God is calling them to leave, you may end up delaying your own destiny. When God chooses you, He surrounds you with the right people at the right time. Divine connections are not accidental. They are orchestrated by God to position you for your purpose. These people will speak life into you when you feel discouraged. They will challenge you to grow when you feel complacent. They will push you closer to God, not further away. If you find yourself surrounded by people who drain your spirit, who discourage your dreams, who pull you into negativity, then perhaps it is time to evaluate whether they were ever meant to stay. Jesus Himself had to be selective about His inner circle. Though He ministered to the multitudes, He walked closely with 12, and even among them only 3, Peter, James, and John, were present for His most intimate moments. Why? Because not everyone has the capacity to handle your calling. Some people are with you only for what they can get, not for what they can give. Some are only there when things are easy, but disappear when challenges arise. Do not mourn the loss of those God removes. He sees what you cannot see. He hears conversations you did not hear. He knows the hearts of men. And when He separates you from certain people, it is always for your protection and elevation. Trust Him. Trust that He is aligning you with the right voices, the right mentors, the right friendships, and the right partnerships. When you embrace divine connections and allow God to remove what no longer serves you, you step fully into the destiny He has prepared for you. The fourth sign is an inexplicable favor. When God chooses you for something great, favor follows you in ways that defy explanation. You will see doors open that others struggle for years to unlock. You will experience breakthroughs that cannot be traced to human effort alone. You will walk into opportunities that seem beyond your qualifications, beyond your background, beyond your connections. This is not luck, this is divine favor. It is the hand of God moving on your behalf. Favor is not something you earn. It is something God bestows upon those He has called. When He places His hand on your life, no man can stop what He has ordained. Joseph experienced this kind of favor. Though he was betrayed, sold into slavery, and thrown into prison, he kept rising. Every place he entered, the favor of God elevated him. In Potiphar's house, he was placed in charge. In prison, he was given authority. And in Pharaoh's palace, he was lifted to a position of power. Joseph's story proves that when you are chosen, favor will follow you even in the lowest places. Sometimes favor will put you in rooms you never expected to enter. It will bring people into your life who see something in you that others overlook. It will cause resources to come when you lack them, opportunities to appear when you least expect them, and solutions to arise just when you need them. People will wonder why things seem to work in your favor while others struggle. But what they do not realize is that favor is not about fairness. It is about divine purpose. God does not give favor for selfish gain. He grants it so that His will can be accomplished. Look at Esther, a simple Jewish girl taken into a palace among many other women. She had no royal blood, no political influence, nothing that should have set her apart. Yet when she stepped into the king's presence, favor made her queen. Why? Because her destiny required it. God's favor positioned her to be a deliverer for her people. David too was overlooked by men, but not by God. While others saw a shepherd boy, God saw a king. Favor took him from the fields to the throne. Favor gave him victory over giants. Favor kept him through every battle, every challenge, every season of waiting. Because when you are chosen, no enemy, no opposition, no setback can stop what God has set in motion. If you have noticed doors opening for you that others struggle to enter, if you have seen blessings come when you least expected them, if you have walked into opportunities that seem beyond your reach, do not dismiss it as coincidence. It is evidence of God's hand on your life. But remember, favor is not just for you, it is for His purpose. Use it wisely, walk in humility, give Him the glory, and never take it for granted. Because when God grants favor, it is a sign that He is preparing you for something greater than you can imagine. The fifth sign is a burden for something bigger than yourself. When God chooses you for something great, He does not just give you a dream, He gives you a burden, a weight on your heart that will not go away, a fire inside of you that keeps you up at night, a deep conviction that you are born for something beyond yourself. This is not just ambition, it is divine assignment. It is God placing within you a passion to solve problems, to help others, to build something that will outlive you. This burden is what separates those who simply seek success from those who are called to purpose. Success is about personal achievement, but purpose is about impact. When God chooses you, He does not allow you to settle for personal comfort. He places a vision in you that extends beyond your own desires. You begin to see needs that others ignore. You feel a deep sense of responsibility for things that do not directly affect you. You are drawn to a cause, a mission, a work that seems too big for you. And that is the evidence that it is from God. because divine assignments will always feel greater than your capacity. Look at Moses. He could have lived comfortably in Pharaoh's palace, ignoring the suffering of his people. But the burden inside him would not let him rest. He felt compelled to act, to stand up for the oppressed, to deliver those who were in bondage. That burden led him to his destiny. Nehemiah had a prestigious position as the king's cupbearer, yet when he heard about the broken walls of Jerusalem, he could not shake the burden to rebuild. He fasted, he prayed, and he acted. That burden led him to become a great leader. Even Jesus, when he walked the earth, was moved by compassion. He saw the sick, the lost, the broken, and he could not turn away. His mission was greater than himself. And if you are truly chosen, you will feel the same. You will feel a call to serve, to lift others, to bring change where change is needed. The burden will be so strong that even when you try to ignore it, it will keep coming back. You will feel uneasy when you are not pursuing it. You will feel unfulfilled in anything less than what God has placed in you. This is why some people never find satisfaction in material success. They achieve what they thought they wanted, yet something still feels missing. Because they were not just called to accumulate, they were called to contribute. They were chosen to impact lives, to transform communities. If you feel a strong pull towards something greater, if there is a burden in you that you cannot ignore, do not run from it. It is the evidence of your calling. God is not just blessing you for your own sake. He is preparing you to be a blessing. And the sooner you embrace that burden, the sooner you will step into the fullness of your divine purpose. The sixth sign is unusual spiritual sensitivity. When God chooses you for something great, He sharpens your spiritual sensitivity. You begin to see things others overlook. You sense shifts in the atmosphere before they happen. You feel the weight of spiritual matters that others dismiss. This is not imagination. It is divine insight. God is opening your spiritual eyes, training your heart to discern, and pulling you into deeper fellowship with Him. This unusual sensitivity is not something you develop on your own. It is a gift, a calling, a sign that God is preparing you for something beyond the natural. You begin to notice that your heart is drawn to prayer in ways it never was before. While others are entertained by distractions, you find yourself longing for quiet moments with God. While others chase temporary pleasures, you crave wisdom, truth, and divine understanding. You no longer desire surface-level living. Something in you longs for depth. Look at Samuel. As a child, he heard the voice of God while others slept. He did not recognize it at first, but when he responded, God revealed His plans to him. That sensitivity set him apart as a prophet. Look at Daniel. While others lived without concern, he was a man of prayer, seeking divine revelation and understanding. Because of his spiritual sensitivity, he interpreted dreams, discerned times and seasons, and walked in supernatural wisdom. Spiritual sensitivity means that God will often warn you before things happen. You will feel an unexplainable urgency to pray. You will sense when something is not right, even when there is no visible evidence. You will have a knowing, a deep internal awareness that cannot be ignored. And if you cultivate this sensitivity, it will become your greatest weapon. But be aware, with increased sensitivity comes increased responsibility. The closer you draw to God, the more He will reveal. And the more He reveals, the more He expects from you. He will show you things not for your entertainment, but for your preparation. He will burden your heart for intercession. He will awaken you in the night to pray for people you may not even know. He will stir your spirit to speak truth, even when it is uncomfortable. Many will not understand this level of sensitivity. They will call you too serious, too deep, too different. But do not let that discourage you. You are not called to fit in. You are called to be set apart. When God chooses you, He does not let you remain ordinary. He refines your spirit, sharpens your discernment, and draws you into deeper communion with Him. If you find yourself longing for God in ways you cannot explain, if your heart is stirred by things that do not concern others, if you sense things before they happen and feel led to pray with urgency, know that this is not by accident. It is a sign that you have been chosen for something greater. Embrace it. Cultivate it. Seek God like never before, for He is revealing His plans to those who are willing to listen. And the seventh sign is persistent divine promptings. When God chooses you for something great, He does not speak once and then remain silent. He keeps speaking. Over and over, He confirms His direction. He whispers in your spirit, nudges your heart, and sends you signs that you cannot ignore. This is not coincidence. This is divine prompting. God is persistent because He knows that human nature tends to doubt, delay, and resist. So He keeps speaking until you recognize His voice. You may notice that certain scriptures keep appearing in your life. You may hear the same message from different people who do not even know each other. You may have dreams or visions that repeat, revealing the same calling, the same assignment, the same path. This is how God works when He is calling someone. He does not leave His chosen ones in confusion. He keeps confirming His word. Look at Moses. God called him at the burning bush, but Moses doubted. So, God kept speaking, kept demonstrating His power, kept assuring him that he was chosen. Gideon experienced the same. When God called him a mighty warrior, he struggled to believe it. But God, in His patience, gave him sign after sign until Gideon could no longer deny his purpose. God's promptings are persistent because He is not merely suggesting something. He is commissioning you. He is not just giving you an idea. He is revealing your assignment. And He will not stop until you respond. You may try to ignore it, push it aside, or explain it away, but the call will keep coming back. It will show up in your quiet moments, in unexpected conversations, in the depths of your heart when everything else is still. For some, these promptings come through dreams. God speaks in visions, revealing glimpses of the future, stirring the soul toward destiny. For others, He speaks through divine encounters, meeting the right person at the right time, receiving words that confirm exactly what has been stirring in the spirit. And for many, God speaks through an inner knowing, a deep conviction that refuses to leave. If you find yourself constantly sensing the same calling, if dreams and messages keep pointing in the same direction, if doors keep opening that align with what God has placed on your heart, pay attention. This is not by chance. God is speaking, confirming, leading. He is persistent because He knows what He has placed inside of you. He knows the impact you are meant to make. He knows the lives that will be changed through your obedience. So do not ignore these promptings. Do not wait for the perfect conditions. Do not let fear keep you from stepping forward. When God chooses you, He will keep speaking until you listen. Respond to the call. Trust the confirmation. Walk in faith. Because when God repeatedly points you in the same direction, it is not a suggestion, it is your destiny calling. My friend, if you see these signs in your life, do not dismiss them. Do not run from them. Do not let fear or doubt silence what God has already confirmed in your spirit. You have been chosen, not by man, not by circumstance, but by the divine hand of God Himself. And when God chooses you, no force in hell can unchoose you. You were not called to fit in. You were not called to live an average life. You were called to make a difference, to shake the foundations of darkness, to build, to lead, to transform lives. And that is why the trials have been great. That is why the burden in your heart is heavy. That is why the doors have opened for you in ways that make no sense. Because you are not just anyone. You are a chosen vessel for a divine assignment. But listen to me carefully. Being chosen is not just a privilege. It is a responsibility. To whom much is given, much is required. When God calls you, He refines you. When He anoints you, He appoints you. And when He sends you, He expects you to go without hesitation. So, I challenge you today, embrace the call. Stop doubting what God has confirmed. Stop running from what He has placed inside of you. Stop waiting for perfect conditions and